right, kids, we're back. The fronts are put in. This is with some pressure in it. The two fronts are done. You can probably see them through here. Yeah, you can see the struts through there. Nice and beautiful. Anyway, so we locked up the fronts and the process of doing the rears. I'm doing it on a 4-post. I'm doing it on a proper professional lift. So you guys will probably not have the convenience of doing that. Most of the stuff I do it on the scissor lift, which is an above ground mid-rise lift. But because we're working with obviously batteries and we need to utilize sort of the pucks and make sure that the center channels are all protected. We don't want any mishaps or bullshit happening. And we want to make sure that everything is nice and solid and protected. So for those kind of jobs, I like to use the 4-post lift, which is indispensable. I use it as a storage lift, but I did get 2 jacks. So it allows me to work on cars, ones that require proper support. And this is one of those vehicles. It would just not fit on the mid-size lift. So for those thinking about doing this kind of stuff on a quick jacks, I'm not really sure if there's extensions you could buy for the quick jacks, but the mount points, which are over here, which where the pucks go, will go on the red parts, which is, I don't trust this. I know these are supposed to be super, supportive of the lift, but I just don't trust these at all. And it just misses the center median, which is for this particular lift. This is the strongest part of it. So I said, forget it. We're not going to do it on that. We're going to do it on the big boy here. And the big boy here is indispensable, and I love it. So anyways, for the rears, we're taking it apart. Obviously, this is a factory spring, so it's under pressure. The lower control arm obviously is supported because you don't want that spring to keep flying. So what we're doing is we're gently releasing it. As we're releasing it, we're kind of relieving the tension, and I think the tension's already relieved from the spring. There you go. Still a little bit of tension, but not as much, so that's okay. You got to be careful when you're working with these cars, okay? I know everybody says DIY, do it, it's so easy. You got to be careful because if you guys don't pay attention, somebody's going to get hurt. So, very important, especially when you're removing the factory suspension. The factory suspension's under extreme load. It's not like when you're upgrading from a lowering kit, when you buy a used car with a lowering kit or with coilovers, the length of the shocks is a lot shorter, which means that you don't have as much tension. So it's a lot easier to remove those components. Whereas if you're working from a factory spring setup, it's a lot harder. So just make sure it's well supported. The outer yoke over here, or the outer sort of assembly bolt, comes out first. Then you're able to release the shock. The shocks on these are super simple. Gone are the days of shock removal from top of the strut towers on the rear trunks, like with the Civics and even with the Lexuses. Everything right now is done from underneath. They're kind of employing, what modern cars are doing, BMWs and all that kind of stuff. So super simple. Relieve that. Have that under support to relieve the pressure. And pretty much once the spring is removed, we're gonna remove all the rubber sort of isolators for the factory stuff. We're gonna put a direct fit bag. All right, kids. So running lines on the Tesla, not very complicated. Thank God there's a nice little channel that goes through here that you can run the line through to connect the coolant lines to the front and protrude it through, fish it out, and there it goes. There it goes on the other side. You guys can see the coolant line. So this is exactly how you run. There's a nice little tunnel. It's like these things were made to be bagged. And we're going to I just ran it through because I'm going to run it into the engine bay, probably through the same spot, because it's a nice little spot that goes up there. And then we'll be able to feed it out and be able to cover it up just like I did for the front. So can't wait to do that. And we're going to do the other side, put in the springs, do static air, and then we'll be able to move it around. So that's how you run the lines on a Tesla. All right. So our setup utilizes double bellow setup. You guys can see over here, there's the rear double bellow bag. For comfort, performance, ability to hit presets, no issues whatsoever. Our kit also includes a full replacement shock with an upper mount, so you don't need to reuse the old ones. You just put in a full new setup. Why do we choose double bellow? We chose double bellow is because we find that a single bellow setup or sleeve-based setups are a bit outdated. So they really don't hit presets, especially on digital management. The thing is that in order for a sleeve or a single bellow to hit presets accurately, you need to run a 3/8 setup or a height-based setup, height sensor-based setup, which is too expensive. It's not worth the headaches, especially when you're running a double bellow bag. You got comfort, performance, and absolutely no issues when you're doing digital management. So that's one of the reasons why we chose to use a double bellow setup for the Tesla platform. It works great, good performance, good lift. What else do you need? So saves money and works awesome. So that's why we chose to use a double bellow setup for our kits. I know there's kits out there that have a sleeve in the front. I would imagine sleeves allow you a greater lift in the front, but the performance is wonky and you're never going to be able to hit presets correctly. And then a single bellow in the rear, kind of outdated technology. So that's why what we're doing is a double bellow. All right, so the rears are in. We ran the line. This is a 3/8 setup. A bit overkill for Tesla, but he wanted 3/8, no problem. Generally 1/4 inch is sufficient enough. We find that the 3/8 will make the car jump a little bit too much and air out a little bit too fast, so not really that cool. But anyhow, ran the lines from the tunnel that's underneath here, where the coolant line goes from the front all the way to the back behind the shield. Just kind of chills right over the suspension components, circles around, and it connects right into the fitting in the back. Very, very simple. Don't have to worry about exhaust in the way because this car doesn't have an exhaust. So just kind of circle it around behind here, fit it in the back, mount the bag, everything direct fit onto the lower control arm as you guys can see here. And that's pretty much it for the rear. It's a very simple way of running the line, very clean. So we're gonna work on the other side.